Welcome back to Chronicle. This morning, Julie and I are taking a look back at some of the biggest stories of our careers, some of those that have stuck with me as I move into retiring at the end of the year.
Don't go.
Sorry.
Okay, we're going to talk about your one-on-one interview with Barack Obama during his second term as president. And you asked him something that ended up becoming news around the world. We're going to play that story.
How are you?
The president's goal to talk about how his jobs plan is. But on this day, when the Nebraska legislature begins its special session on the Keystone XL pipeline, we want to know if the White House is ready to make a decision.
We want to make sure that we're taking the long view on these issues.
The administration, the State Department specifically, is delaying any decision on the pipeline until most likely early next year.
There's a way of doing that and still making sure that the health and safety of the American people and folks in Nebraska are protected. And that's how I'll be measuring these recommendations when they come to me.
He doesn't want to rush any decision on the environment, especially when it involves the land, even if it means costing new jobs.
Folks in Nebraska, like all across the country, aren't going to say to themselves, we'll take a few thousand jobs if it means that our kids are potentially drinking water that would damage their health.
And that, the president says, would be another economic blow the country doesn't need.
When somebody gets sick, that's a cost that the society has to bear as well. So these are all things that you have to take a look at when you make these decisions.
Yeah, and that interview actually, Julie, ended up being part of an article in Rolling Stone magazine, which was went around the world. People were highly interested in what's happening with the Keystone Pipeline, and he said, I'm going to make that decision. It was like, oh no, the president will make the decision, not the State Department. So.
It was really cool to see your name associated with that.
Well, it was
asking the hard questions.
Right. It was interesting because they referenced me as a Nebraska reporter.
Oh, okay. You knew who it was.
I knew since I was the only one in the room. Yeah.
You've always been interested in debates and politics and the legislature. What sparks that interest?
I truly believe, and you've probably heard me say it a gazillion times, that our job really is to inform the electorate. I think that's one of our main jobs as journalists, and that's where you can do it. When I was a bureau chief, to be right there in the room where it happens, to steal a line from Hamilton, it's just like, it was very interesting to see that and see how it's all made, because once you know how it's made, how it's, you don't look too closely, but you know how it's made, then you can ask questions and get to the heart of it.
Then you can start picking at it, right?
Right, you know where,
right, you have to understand it first.
Yeah.
You went to Bosnia in 2003. What was that like?
I did. That was very interesting. I went along with the Nebraska National Guard for a little bit. It was just to see how they went and their mission there. We'll take a look at that story.
Everywhere you go in Bosnia, there's destruction. This used to be a shoe factory. It stands as a stark reminder of war. People here are now forced to get their water from community watering holes, coping as best they can.
Dobar dan. How's everybody today?
And Nebraska's National Guard is helping them.
Right now, this is a new area that we're moving into. The Russian contingency is leaving.
Part of the Guard's mission in Bosnia, these patrols.
Bandit 3-5, over.
They go into communities and over a cup of Bosnian coffee, just talk with the people, seeing if everything's all right, if they need anything.
We want to let people know that, they can talk to us.
Through a translator, this store owner tells me she appreciates America's concern.
You're welcome. You're welcome here, and I'm glad to see you here. That's it.
You definitely see the world in a different way when you travel overseas, don't you?
Yeah, you see how they see us. It's interesting. And that was interesting because, it was after the Civil War that they had, and their big issue at the time were landmines that had been planted all around the country. When I left to go over there, my wife said, just stay on the concrete. And I didn't, because I was able to convince one of our Guard people to take us into a live minefield as they were churning them up, and a couple of them went off. And I told my wife about it via email, and she was not happy.
After you were safe?
After I was safe. And you can see that story
on
KATV.com.
So in 2021, Omaha lost Corporal Dagan Page. He died in that suicide bombing attack. He was deployed to Kabul, Afghanistan. He was just 23 years old. And you sat down with the Page family shortly after that. Here's a piece of that conversation.
Stories of how they were going out and searching for people to get them to safety, and stayed in there and helped to secure the gate, and the things that they made a decision to do that day. They're absolutely heroes, and it makes us proud that that's what they're moments were.
Those last moments were the evening of August 26th, when a suicide bomber attacked, killing Dagan, 12 other U.S. service members, and 60 Afghans. This video, possibly the last one of Dagan, was taken just outside the gates at the Kabul airport.
Yeah, it broke my heart when we saw that. We talked to his family, as his mom and Greg. They were all lined up.
I remember that.
On the sofa, and we were talking, and they were all. And this wasn't too long after. They wanted to thank the public for the outpouring of support they showed. Remember when Dagan's body landed in this casket, and they brought it out to the funeral home. It was really, really emotional. So.
Amidst tragedy, that's the one thing that you can do for somebody is show up and let them tell their story.
Right. What do you remember about that?
I remember it being very raw and feeling so bad for the family and how gracious they were.
Right.
You know, and to share their story because he was their family member, but he was also part of our community. So
That's one of the things I love about you, Julie. It's true, is that you empathize with everybody. You take it to heart, and you can. And I can see when we're standing at the desk.
well, it's hard to hold it together sometimes,
it is,
right?
But, you know, sometimes we come across as like, you know, you got to compartmentalize everything, but you really have the emotion, and that comes across because you truly do care.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. When we come back, we're going to talk about some wild weather events. Let's switch gears here, okay?
A little bit, yeah. That's a little bit, yeah.
And some football. Be right back.